Honmen English Exam Practice Test Japanese Driver's License Test. Get at least 90 points to pass. Although overtaking is prohibited in a tunnel where no traffic lanes are provided, overtaking is not prohibited in a tunnel where traffic lanes are provided. True. Overtaking is prohibited in a tunnel where no traffic lanes are provided, but it is not when traffic lanes are provided in the tunnel. When parking on a road which side strip is not more than 0.75 meters in width, you must stop your vehicle along the left edge of the road. True. If the width of the side strip is not more than 0.75 meters, you must park your vehicle along the left edge of the road. Although overtaking is prohibited in a tunnel where no traffic lanes are provided, overtaking is not prohibited in a tunnel where traffic lanes are provided. True. Overtaking is prohibited in a tunnel where no traffic lanes are provided, but it is not when traffic lanes are provided in the tunnel. Regular cars, large-size trucks, and the like are prohibited from traveling in exclusive lanes for buses, except when turning left or right. True. These vehicles may travel in exclusive lanes for buses when turning or as a result of unavoidable circumstances, such as road construction. Whenever you park or stop your vehicle on ordinary roads, you must turn on hazard flasher, parking light, or taillight. False! You need not turn on these lights. When road lighting or the like makes your vehicle seen from 50 meters away, or when a triangle reflector is placed to the rear of your vehicle. Motorcyclists may not use sidewalks or crosswalks, even when pushing their motorcycles with the engine off. False! Since a motorcyclist is treated as a pedestrian in this case, using sidewalks or crosswalks is permitted. Automobiles and motorized bicycles, except for motorized bicycles which must make a two-step right turn, are permitted to make a right turn at the following traffic signal. True. Automobiles and motorized bicycles which need not make a two-step right turn are permitted to make a right turn. When your brakes are not working on a downward slope, you should downshift while stepping off the accelerator to reduce the speed of your vehicle, and pull the handbrake. True. If the above measures fail, you should use friction that occurs when bringing your car into the hillside, driving through gravel or dirt, etc. The pictured pavement marking indicates no stopping zone. Therefore, you must not block this area, even if proceeding slowly due to congestion. True. You must not come to a halt in areas having these markings, even if the cause is traffic congestion. Motorized bicycles can access exclusive lanes for route buses, etc., at any time. True. Exclusive lanes for route buses are open to the vehicles designated by signs or markings, light special equipment, motorized bicycles, and light vehicles at any time. When entering an intersection, you must immediately come to a halt on the spot if the signal ahead changes to yellow. False! Since stopping in the intersection could impede other traffic, you can proceed through the intersection. When driving at high speeds during rainy conditions, a layer of water builds between the rubber tires of the vehicle and the road surface. This leads to the loss of traction, preventing the vehicle from responding to control inputs such as steering or braking. True. This is a phenomenon called hydroplaning. When towing a disabled vehicle with a rope, you must keep the distance from a towing vehicle to the towed vehicle within 5 meters and attach a red cloth of at least 30 square centimeters to the rope. False! You should attach a white cloth, not a red cloth, of 30 square centimeters or larger to the rope. In the area depicted in the following drawing, you may stop but may not park. False! The solid yellow line indicates no parking or stopping. You are not allowed to park and stop from 8 o'clock to 20 o'clock in areas where the following sign is posted. True, the number in the top of this no parking or stopping sign indicates the time period during which parking or stopping is prohibited. The following sign indicates the end of the 50 km/h speed limit zone. True, the auxiliary sign used above the regulatory sign indicates the end of 50 km/h speed limit zone. When changing lanes, you must signal 30 meters before the point that the lane change is made. False! You should signal about 3 seconds, not 30 meters, prior to switching lanes. When riding double on a motorcycle, the passenger may move contrary to the motorist's wishes, making it difficult for the motorist to turn as intended. True, the driver must be aware that the passenger may move contrary to the driver's expectations. Double riding on an expressway excluding some motorways is permitted, if you must be at least 20 years of age and have possessed a large motorcycle license or regular motorcycle license for a total of 3 years or more. True, drivers who are at least 20 years of age with a period of holding large or regular motorcycle license for 3 years or more in total, are permitted to ride double on an expressway. Objects must be loaded in a vehicle so as not to interfere with driving, obstruct others' view of your turn signals or the like, or otherwise compromise safety. True, when loading a truck with cargo, you must ensure that the load does not endanger the vehicle's operational safety or obstruct the view of the vehicle's directional signals, license plate, brake lights, or the like. Microbuses having a riding capacity between 11 and 29 people may be driven on a regular car license. False! You may drive vehicles having a riding capacity up to 10 on a semi-medium-sized automobile license or a regular car license. The situation in this case requires a license for a large-sized automobile or medium-sized automobile. When approaching a flashing red signal, you should proceed slowly while watching for other traffic. False! At a flashing red light, you must come to a complete stop and proceed after making sure it is safe. At a railroad crossing with a traffic signal, you may cross the railroad without stopping or checking that the way is safe when the signal is green. False! While it is not necessary to come to a stop, you should always ensure that the way is clear. A vehicle is said to have stopped when the conditions for parking do not apply to a stationary vehicle or when the vehicle can be moved immediately by the driver. True, a vehicle is said to have stopped when a driver stops a vehicle for a little while and can move the vehicle immediately. You may straddle a pedestrian zone for parking on roads with a wide side strip, provided that you can leave 0.75 meters or more of space on the left-hand side of the vehicle. True, when straddling a pedestrian zone for parking, you must leave 0.75 meters or more of space on the left-hand side of the vehicle for pedestrian to pass through. Unless otherwise specified by signs or other indicators, the maximum speed limit for motorized bicycles is 30 kilometers per hour. True, the designated speed limit for motorized bicycles is 30 kilometers per hour. When two vehicles are passing on a narrow road, one side of which is the edge of a cliff, the vehicle nearest the edge must stop to allow the oncoming vehicle to pass. True, since the vehicle near the edge of the cliff is in a dangerous position, this vehicle should stop in a safe part of the road to allow the oncoming vehicle passage. When riding double on a motorcycle, the motorist must be aware that the passenger's movement is slower than that of the motorists, making it more difficult to avoid dangers. True, when riding double on a motorcycle, the driver must be aware that the passenger's movement is slower than that of the drivers, making it more difficult to avert danger. When approaching an intersection or curve with poor visibility at night, you should switch your headlights upwards or flash them to warn other drivers and pedestrians. True, when approaching an intersection in other areas with poor visibility at night, you should switch your headlights upwards or turn them on and off quickly to alert others to your approach. When driving on an uphill slope, you should use your handbrake in a four-wheeled vehicle and your rear brake on a motorcycle. True, you must use these brakes on an uphill slope to prevent yourself from rolling backwards. The designated maximum speed for large cargo is 80 kilometers per hour on national expressways. True, the speed limit is 80 kilometers per hour for large cargo. You need not slow down or come to a stop when it is clear that a pedestrian or bicyclist does not intend to cross in the crosswalk or bicycle crossing zone. True, you may proceed normally when there is clearly no pedestrian or bicyclist attempting to cross. When parking on side strip is unavoidable due to vehicle breakdown on an expressway, you must turn on hazard flasher, parking light, or taillight even during the daytime and also place a triangle reflector to the rear of your vehicle when visibility is reduced to less than 200 meters. True, when visibility is reduced to less than 200 meters, you must turn on hazard flasher, parking light, or taillight even during the daytime and also place a triangle reflector to the rear of your vehicle, regardless of whether it is day or night. For safe driving on the main through lanes, you should use a white line on the left side of your lane as guide and stay a little left of the center of the lane on which you are traveling. True, you should drive on the main through lanes, as noted above. To the driver of a four-wheeled vehicle, motorcycles may appear shorter than their actual distance and may appear to be traveling faster than their actual speed. False. Since motorcycles are small, they may seem to be farther than they actually are and be traveling slower than their actual speed. Although the space to the right of the parked vehicle would be less than 3.5 meters, a driver loads and unloads cargo for 10 minutes. True, it is illegal to park on the road if the space to the right of the parked vehicle would be less than 3.5 meters. However, the rule does not apply to parking in regard to loading and unloading, provided the driver is able to move the vehicle immediately. Owners of automobiles except motorcycles must secure a parking location, garage or other suitable place in which to park their vehicles off the road within 5 kilometers from the address of the main use of the automobile except for villages where another rule is applied. False. 5 kilometers is incorrect. Owners of automobiles except motorcycles must secure a parking location, garage or other suitable place within 2 kilometers from the address of the main use of the automobile, except for villages where another rule is specified. When the crossing bar at a railroad crossing rises, you may cross the railroad without stopping, provided that traffic is moving smoothly. False. You must also come to a stop before a railroad unless the signal is green. When parking on an expressway is unavoidable due to vehicle breakdown, you must park on a shoulder or side strip of sufficient width. True. If your vehicle breaks down or under other unavoidable circumstances, you may park on a shoulder or side strip of sufficient width. Witnesses at the scene of a traffic accident must assist in giving aid to injured parties and in moving vehicles involved in the accident. True. Witnesses at the scene of a traffic accident must assist in giving aid to injured parties and in moving vehicles involved in the accident. When driving alongside a pedestrian, you must always come to a stop. False. If you drive either at a slow speed or with a safe margin around the pedestrians, you need not always stop when driving alongside a pedestrian. Both parking and stopping are prohibited in the tunnel, regardless of whether traffic lanes are provided. True, neither parking nor stopping is permissible in the tunnel. When driving at night, you should pay attention to the taillights and brake lights of the vehicle ahead. True, at nighttime your ability to detect road and traffic conditions is much poorer, but the brake lights of vehicles ahead provide some information. Motorized vehicles excluding special small-size motor vehicles and motorized vehicle must be registered and must bear identification plates. True. Automobiles excluding light special equipment and regular motorcycle with an engine of 125 cc or less must be registered and must attach license plates. Motorcycles require the same driving skills as four-wheeled vehicles to perform basic driving operations, such as stopping and rounding curves. False. Operating a motorcycle is different than driving four-wheeled vehicles. For example, motorcycles need be maintained stable at all times, or be leaned into curves when turning. When parking at a time-limited zone, you need not activate a parking meter within a marked period of time. False. When parking at a time-limited zone, you must activate a parking meter after parking. You are allowed to park only within a marked period of time. You should test the brakes after passing through a deep puddle since the brakes sometimes lose their effectiveness. True, you should apply the brakes several times to test their effectiveness after passing through a deep puddle since the brakes sometimes lose their effectiveness. When pedestrians are crossing at or near an intersection with no crosswalk, you must reduce speed, drive slowly, or come to a stop so as not to impede their passage. True, you must reduce speed, drive slowly, or come to a stop in some circumstance, so as not to impede the passage of pedestrians. You should conduct not only pre-driving inspections from the driver's seat, but also on engines and parts. True, To avoid a vehicle accident or breakdown, you should identify the underlying problems and take corrective actions. When the following sign is posted, you can change lanes as indicated by the arrow. False. You cannot change lanes when the center line on your side is a solid yellow line. Since there is a large disparity between the turning arcs of the inner front and rear wheels on large-sized trucks, the driver of a truck must pay sufficient attention to motorcycles present behind the truck on the left side because this area is difficult to see from the driver's seat. True, drivers of trucks must be careful of motorcycles behind them when turning as the inner rear wheel follows an arc much farther inward than the inner front wheel. Generally, this difference increases the longer vehicles, requiring the driver to make a wider turn. You may not park within 3 meters of a fire alarm. False. No parking area is within 1 meter, rather than within 3 meters, of a fire alarm. The force of impact in a collision is related to the speed of the vehicle, but not to weight. False. The force of impact is greater when the weight of the vehicle is greater. A motorized bicycle operator must make a 2-step turn when turning right at a traffic signal intersection having 3 or more lanes in the same direction. True, a motorized bicycle operator must make a 2-stage turn when turning right at the traffic signal intersection having 3 or more lanes in the same direction. Double riding is prohibited on the road posted with the following sign. True, this is a no double riding sign indicating that double riding on large or regular motorcycles is prohibited. Frictional resistance between the tire and road plays an important role to bring the vehicle to stop. When driving on a wet paved road with worn-out tires, the frictional resistance is less while the braking distance is longer. True, the less the frictional resistance, the longer the braking distance. The maximum cargo height limit for mopeds and regular motorcycles excluding motorcycles with sidecars is 2 meters or less from the carrying device. False. The maximum speed designated for regular cars with an engine of 660 cc's or less is 80 km per hour on main through lanes of national expressways. False. The maximum speed designated for regular cars with an engine of 660 cc's or less is 100 km per hour on main through lanes of national expressways. When following the designated traffic lane, you may proceed along the lane, even when an emergency vehicle approaches. False. In this case, you can leave the designated lane to give way to the emergency vehicle and return to the lane after the emergency vehicle has passed. When involved in a collision with a utility pole or a street tree, you need not notify the police. False. You must always report the extent of damage to property and receive an instruction from the police officer. When passing through an intersection with poor visibility, you should sound the horn as much as possible in order to avoid danger. False. You may sound the horn only when observing the sound horn sign and avoiding danger. Being able to walk a 2-wheeled vehicle through a full figure of 8 is also one of the requirements for selecting an appropriate vehicle type. True. You should signal when you are about to drive in reverse. True. You should signal when about to drive in reverse. Speed limits, loading restrictions, and other vehicular regulations have no particular relationship to traffic pollution. False. Since noise and vibrations increase at faster speeds and heavier weights, regulating speed and weight helps to reduce traffic pollution. It is prohibited to overtake or pass a regular car bearing a beginning driver mark. False. While it is prohibited to crowd or cut off the car bearing the mark, it is not prohibited to overtake or pass it. When merging into the main-through lane of an expressway from an acceleration lane, you should accelerate to a sufficient speed in the acceleration lane before merging into the main-through lane so as not to impede the passage of vehicles in the main-through lane. True, you should accelerate to a sufficient speed in the acceleration lane and merge smoothly into the main-through lane. The fuel consumption rate of automobiles increase as the speed increases. True. Riding double is not permitted on motorcycles with no passenger seat or motorized bicycles. True. Only one person may ride on motorized bicycles or motorcycles with no passenger seat. Parking is not allowed within 3 meters from a parking lot or a garage. However, the parking restriction does not apply to owners or other related parties of the parking lot or the garage. False. Parking is not allowed within 3 meters from the entrance of a parking lot or a garage, even when you are an owner of these facilities. A police officer bringing both arms up level at the sides at an intersection is giving a hand signal identical in meaning to a red light for traffic in lanes parallel to the police officer. False. This hand gesture signifies the same meaning as a red light for traffic facing the police officer and a green light for traffic in lanes parallel to the police officer. Traffic is not allowed to enter areas in which the following sign is posted. Pedestrians are allowed. True. This is a closed to all vehicles sign and is open to pedestrian traffic. To help ensure a smooth flow of traffic, you should always drive at the designated speed limit, regardless of road and traffic conditions. False. You must drive within the speed limit, taking the road and traffic conditions into account. When braking a motorcycle, you should employ engine braking and apply both front and rear brakes simultaneously, while maintaining an upright posture and not turning the front wheel. True. You should apply both front and rear brakes simultaneously on a motorcycle while maintaining an upright posture. A driver holding a non-professional driver's license can operate a truck having a maximum loading capacity of 3 tons. False. A driver with a non-professional driver's license can operate a truck having a maximum loading capacity under 2 tons. When being overtaken by another vehicle, you must not accelerate but have no particular obligation to yield to the vehicle, even when there is no sufficient width to overtake safely. False. Vehicles must move as far over to the left as possible to make way, when there is no sufficient width to overtake safely. The following sign indicates that the road is accessible only by regular passenger cars. False. The sign is motor vehicles only, designating national expressways or roads used exclusively by automobiles, in addition to regular passenger cars. Motorized bicycles with over 125 cc's engine and large-size truck are allowed access. You must not attempt to overtake a vehicle ahead by crossing into the center line when this action may impede the vehicle ahead or oncoming traffic. True, overtaking is dangerous in this situation and must be avoided. Only regular cars are permitted to enter the streetcar tracks in areas posted with the following sign. False. This is a driving on tracks permitted sign, indicating that all automobiles may travel on the tracks. On the road in the following diagram, you may overtake the vehicle with a minimum amount of your vehicle extending into the right-hand lane. False. You must not cross into the right side of the road in order to overtake the other vehicle when the left side of the road is at least 6 meters wide. You must obtain permission from the Chief of Police to carry the cargo shown below. True, permission is required since the cargo exceeds 1/10 of the vehicle's length. When the vehicle's rear wheels begin to slide to the right while driving, you should turn the steering wheel to the left. False. You should turn the steering wheel in the direction that the rear wheels are sliding. Vehicles may not turn right or proceed forward at an intersection posted with the following sign. True, this is a proceed only to designated direction sign, indicating vehicles may turn left only. Proceeding forward or turning right is prohibited. Vehicle A is attempting to turn right, while Vehicle B is proceeding straight through the intersection. In this case, Vehicle A must not impede Vehicle B's progress, even if Vehicle A enters the intersection first. True, a vehicle turning right must not impede the progress of a vehicle driving straight or a vehicle turning left. On roads where center line is provided, you must drive on the left side of the center line, but as close as possible to the center line. False. You must proceed on the far left side of the center line. When selecting a large motorcycle or regular motorcycle, your toe should touch the ground when you are seated. False. Select a motorcycle that fits. A motorcyclist should be able to touch the ground with both toes when aspirating the vehicle. If you are confident in your driving skills, you are permitted to ride double on an ordinary road even if the period of holding regular motorcycle license is less than 1 year in total. False. Double riding is not permitted for a rider holding regular motorcycle license for less than 1 year. When the pictured sign is posted on a road having a width less than 6 meters but good visibility, you may overtake, but should cross into the right lane only as far as necessary. False. This is a no passing on the right-hand portion of the road for overtaking sign indicating that you may not cross into the right side of the road to overtake. On roads with 3 or more traffic lanes in the same direction, vehicles may choose a traffic lane in accordance with their speed, excluding the rightmost lane, provided that there are no signs designating specific vehicle lanes. True, vehicles must travel in a lane other than the rightmost lane on roads with 3 or more traffic lanes. In areas other than an intersection having no crosswalk, bicycle crossing zone, or the like, you must come to a stop 1 meter in front of a police officer or other traffic controller giving a hand signal to stop. True, under these circumstances, you must stop 1 meter in front of the police officer or other traffic controller. When riding a 2-wheeled vehicle on graveled road or muddy roads, you should accelerate and drive through these areas as fast as possible. False. The following sign indicates that the road ahead is closed to all cargoes. False! This is a closed to large-sized trucks sign, indicating that the road is closed to large cargo, etc., but is open to regular cargo. You are passing through an intersection at 30 kilometers per hour. What should you be watching for when there is a vehicle behind you? True. Reduce speed because it is possible that an oncoming vehicle on the opposite side of the car ahead is attempting to turn right and may come to a halt in front of pedestrians on the crosswalk. You are passing through an intersection at 30 kilometers per hour. What should you be watching for when there is a vehicle behind you? True. Reduce speed by stepping on the brakes several times to warn the vehicle behind you, then continue while keeping an eye on any oncoming vehicles attempting to turn right. You are passing through an intersection at 30 kilometers per hour. What should you be watching for when there is a vehicle behind you? False. As there is sufficient space to pass on the left side of the vehicle attempting to make a right, you should continue at the same speed and proceed through the intersection when you have a green light. Explanations. Proceed while being aware of the vehicle behind you and any oncoming vehicle turning right. You risk colliding with an oncoming vehicle turning right if you proceed through a green light without reducing speed. You are traveling at 40 kilometers per hour. What should you be watching in this situation? False. Since a guardrail is provided to allow for the safe passage of pedestrians, you should proceed without slowing down. False. Since a bicycle on the left does not weave around pedestrians in order to pass them on the sidewalk, it may appear suddenly in front of you. Therefore, you should proceed while honking your horn. False. Since a bicycle on the left does not weave around pedestrians in order to pass them on the sidewalk, it may appear suddenly in front of you. Therefore, you should drive across the center line. Explanations. A guardrail gives vehicle drivers a sense of safety, but some pedestrians or bicycles run into the roadway using a gap in the guardrail. Therefore, you should be alert to pedestrians and bicycles to ensure safety on the roads. You are traveling at 30 kilometers per hour. What should you be watching for when you pass through an intersection? True. This intersection has poor visibility, so you must reduce your speed and be prepared to stop quickly. False. There is no danger on the left since nothing is visible in the convex safety mirror. Therefore, proceed while watching for traffic on the right only. False. You may proceed at the same speed since there is no other visible traffic ahead. Explanations. Convex safety mirrors should be used only for reference at blind intersections. It is important to reduce your speed sufficiently to stop in time for what appears suddenly in front of you. You are driving on the main through lane of an expressway at 80 kilometers per hour. What should you be watching for in this situation? False. A vehicle is attempting to merge from the acceleration lane, so you should accelerate to go ahead of the merging vehicle. False. It appears that the vehicle in the acceleration lane might try to merge forcefully into your lane, so you should change quickly into the right-hand lane. True. Since the vehicle in the acceleration lane may be merging into your lane without noticing you, look out for the vehicle's movement and make way if the vehicle attempts to merge. Explanations. When you are positioned in the blind spot of a vehicle in the acceleration lane, there is a chance that the vehicle may cut in front of you when merging. In some cases, it may be necessary to let up on the accelerator to allow the vehicle to merge, or, when the lane to the right is open, to change lanes before the vehicle merges. However, you should not change lanes suddenly when there is traffic behind you. You are traveling at 35 kilometers per hour. What should you be concerned about when driving over steel plates in a construction area? True, slow down and be alert for construction workers that may appear suddenly from the construction site on the left. True, steel plates are very slippery when wet. Reduce your speed in advance and maintain a safe distance from the vehicle ahead to avoid the necessity of braking suddenly. False. Rain reduces visibility and makes it difficult to see the road conditions ahead. Closely following the vehicle in front of you is best in this situation. Explanations. In rainy conditions, steel plates at construction sites become extremely slippery. Reduce your speed and maintain a safe distance from the vehicle ahead.